in small town South Dakota. Took my first job at the age of 15 for $5.15 an hour. I worked an 8-hour shift. I did the math in my head and said, there's no way I'm doing that again. And that's really what started the journey of being able to work for myself. The idea of allowing somebody to put that type of value on my time is really what got me. And it wasn't that, they put that value on my time, but it was more so that I allowed them to put that value on my time. See, I knew that I was, even at a...
Welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. Hello, beautiful people. As always, I'm excited to have you for another episode of the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk with myself. And I have an incredible gentleman. And this gentleman has been able to conquer himself, his life, his marriage, and his business. He leads other men so that they can do the same. And before I actually introduce him to you and to everything that he has done and to everything and into how he can help you do the same as well, I just want to give it a big special shout out to everyone who has been leaving reviews on the major podcasting platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, and everywhere. And especially to those who have been watching on YouTube as well. Thank you very much. Most people will never take the time to leave a comment or to leave a review. 99% of people actually won't, but the 1% of you who do are the ones who make all the difference. So to you, I say thank you. And today I have Rylee Meek, and he's founder of King's Council, and I'm going to read his bio. Rylee Meek is the $100 million man who has started 8 different companies and taken each of them to 7 and 8 figures in revenue in the first year, totaling over $125 million in the past 9 years. Rylee is author, business development leader, and the host of his own podcast, the King's Council podcast. And as he's probably going to go into right now, he's founder of King Council along with his business partner, Steve Rutherford. And I'm excited to have you, man. Thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, brother, it's going to be fun. Happy to be here.
Awesome, man. So look, the first thing that I do with my guests is make them a little bit uncomfortable, put them on the line, and ask them to tell us about their entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
In 75 seconds. All right, man. You tell me when to go.
Now.
Right on, dude. So I grew up in small town South Dakota. Took my first job at the age of 15 for $5.15 an hour. I worked an 8-hour shift. I did the math in my head and said, there's no way I'm doing that again. And that's really what started the journey of being able to work for myself. The idea of allowing somebody to put that type of value on my time is really what got me. And it wasn't that, they put that value on my time, but it was more so that I allowed them to put that value on my time. See, I knew that I was, even at a young age, was worth much more than $5 an hour. And from there, man, I just started to explore. I think the biggest thing for me was surrounding myself with like-minded people. And I had to be very intentional about seeking out different mentors. And at the end of the day, I looked for the people that had the fruit in their life that I wanted. And I just went and got around them and any way that I possibly could. And from there, I gleaned so much wisdom, knowledge, and ultimately then experience that has allowed me to really fail my way through this journey of entrepreneurship. And at the end of the day, I mean, I believe we are all entrepreneurs, whether you own your own business or not. We're entrepreneurs, because at the core of it, entrepreneur means to undertake. That's the root word of that is a French word, entreprendre, and that literally means to undertake. So we're all undertakers in some fashion, whether we own a business or not. We are entrepreneurs, and as you said, this is a journey that we are on. And at the ripe age of 36, I still feel like I'm just getting started, bro.
You are, man. You are. Gary Vee always says, if I had known that at 45 I was going to feel the way that I feel right now, like I would have never put so much pressure on me and be in such in a hurry. So yeah, man, you're barely getting started.
Absolutely, man.
How do you feel about that? Are you excited?
Yeah, most definitely. I think that's the exciting part about just entrepreneurship. It's the thrill of the hunt is usually what excites most of us. But I still believe there's through just what I've learned over the last 20 years now, it's hard to even believe it's been that long. But it's more so just enjoying the journey as well, and trusting the process. And there is something to be said about still having that feeling of content, yet a healthy dissatisfaction. And I don't think I'll ever be satisfied, but I think that's a good thing, because I still am fully content with what, where God has me in my life right now. And so if I can continually have that dissatisfaction in a healthy way, but still knowing that I'm content with who I am and in my beliefs and my core values, it's a win-win. And that's what keeps me excited about what we do, just with entrepreneurship and certainly now coaching other people on entrepreneurship as well.
100%, man. Accepting where you are, right, and being grateful about it is the key to be able to transform into someone and go to where you want to go, right? So content plus satisfaction. The way that I articulate that is, I act like, well, I'm happy, right? I feel really happy and successful and fulfilled, especially because of what I'm doing and my age and all of that. And I act really happy, right? The other day, a guy asked me, why am I always happy? Or are you always happy? He asked, right? And like, the truth is that no, like I'm not always happy. What I am though is grateful, right? So like content, right? But I'm dissatisfied. I know that I want more, and I'm like chasing this. I'm chasing this chase. I'm chasing this North Star that I call, right? So I'm not always happy or content or satisfied. What I am though is grateful. I accept where I am, and then from this place I can go ahead and create more. So yeah, I love that, man. So man, let's see. What I wanted to ask you, man, is what gave you this like how old were you when you said, you know what, I'm not going to sell my time for $5 an hour? How old are you when you did that?
I was 15 at that age. Yep.
So what gave you like the awareness to, like, because like you're raised you're told you got to go and get a job, go to college, and after you go to college, get a job, work for 40 years and then retire, right? So like we're raised with this mentality. So it's pretty hard to like think out of this box that we're putting. So like what gave you the awareness?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, man, was you hit it on the head there, is the awareness. And so many people do become a product of their environment. And just hearing from your story, man, of like, we can sit back and we can choose to be a victim in situations, or we can choose to be a victor. And I certainly wasn't a victim. But I was a product in my environment, and growing up in a small community, it wasn't like there was a lot of opportunity from a business standpoint. And that was the thing. Like, you go to school, you do your best to get good grades, and then you go to college, you go into debt, and then you hope that you get a job that's going to eventually pay off the debt. And when I thought that through that process, I thought, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, it's what we've been indoctrinated into doing over the last 150 years. But if you really look at the core of it, that was something that's been made up. I mean, I take a lot of my truth from the Bible, and I don't see anywhere in the Bible where any of that actually says that we are to follow that process. And so I look at it as the different types of people in the Bible. There was masters, there were slaves, there were servants, and when I look at like the different types, or in laborers, masters, slaves, servants, and laborers, and when I look at those four different types of people, when I look at society today, there are, the masters are the people with all the money, like they own everything, right? Then there's the laborers, which would be like entrepreneurs. They would be the independent contractors that I got a guy out here mowing my lawn right now that, he gets a specific dollar amount for a set job that we've agreed upon. It's not an hourly wage necessarily, but it's a specific task that we've agreed upon. And that's entrepreneurship, right? And when we look at servants in the Bible, that there's literally that's the closest thing to employees that I see, right? And because the reason is we're hoping that we go to school long enough to get a good job. And then, if we continue along what I believe in the Bible is as truth, it says that we cannot serve both God and money. And at the end of the day, when we're serving to go make money, we're serving money in that process. And so I can go down that whole rabbit hole if you'd like me to, man. But and this is something that I've learned over the years, but at that early age, I realized like, this doesn't seem like a real, the path that I want to go down. Now, some people, that's a path you've got. If you're going to be a lawyer, if you're going to be, my wife's a nurse anesthetist, like that's a very specific skill set that you have to go and get a degree for. Absolutely. You need to do that. Right. Mm-hmm. But you're coming out then with a set amount of money that you can expect to earn. Knowing that I wanted to build business, I wanted to grow something, a college education just didn't make sense for me throughout that process. And so that's what really spun my entrepreneurship journey and just crafting and refining my communication skills, learning how to market, how to sell, how to take people through a sales process that ultimately then has allowed me to build multiple companies over the last decade or so. So that it's long answer to your question, Alex, but at the end of the day, it was perspective and just understanding what I didn't want. I saw a lot of what I didn't want. And so I had to seek out what I actually wanted. And so it was being intentional about putting myself in the right place with the right people so I can learn from their experience.
Cool. I'm trying to just like process everything and then see, because I have like 10 things to ask you, but like I want to ask the most important one. And then one thing that you forgot to mention is multiple companies to 7 and 8 figures. You're just throwing that in there.
Yeah.
And so man, so what are you serving? Are you serving God or are you serving money?
I'm serving God, man, and I'm making money serve me. And I think that's cool. A key component that it's a mind shift in how we think about it, because I mean, there's a reason I believe the Bible talks about there's over 2,000 verses specifically on money, wealth, and possessions. And because it becomes something that we constantly are serving. And the problem is, I believe as humans on this earth, so many people think that the rich people, the entrepreneurs are the ones serving money, when all reality, it's exact opposite. We are serving money in our poverty. And I can explain over and over how that works just logically. But at the end of the day, money's not everything unless you don't have enough of it. Right. Mm-hmm. And then it quickly becomes our everything. Because if you think about the love of money, right? That's if we can go down the talk of scripture and in the Bible, it talks about the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. It's the love it's the verb in that tense. So if you think about the love, what do you do when you love something, right? Like my wife, when I realized that I loved her, what did I do? I constantly pursued her. Okay. I thought about her all the time. You're right? Devoted. And then when I didn't get her, it ticked me off. It emotionally affected me. So if I have that mindset even to money, like I'm getting up and I used to have photos on my wall of hustling and grinding and executing. And at the end of the day, it got me to a certain extent financially in my life, but I had still this gut wrenching feeling of unfulfillment in my life. Right. And that's when money wasn't everything until I didn't have enough of it. And then it became everything for me. And then once I started to obtain a decent amount of it, then I quickly realized it certainly wasn't everything, because I still had that feeling of unfulfillment within me. Now, money does a lot of things and we need to make money. And I believe if you have the gift and the ability to do it, you better go earn as much as you possibly freaking can, because that's a true way that you can impact this world. But what you do with the money is going to be the determinant of if you're serving God or if you're serving money.
Cool. Man, so I try to ingrain this idea in the people that I help and in the people that I work and will work with. Like Elon Musk, he's not driven by money, man. Right? Like he has a lot of money. He has more money than he knows what to do with.
Right.
So like he's not driven by money. He's driven by like this grand vision, this bigger vision, something that is bigger than himself, like a purpose, right? So can you maybe talk a little bit about that? How you're maybe, I don't know if this is the case for you, but I suspect that you're not production driven. Well, to some point you might be, right? But you're not production driven. You're like purpose driven. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it still is important that we have proper measurables to track production, to make sure that we are moving in the right direction. Because in any given relationship, if you're going to start a business, it's important to have the vision, the visionary. But a great book called Rocket Fuel also talks a lot about the integrator and being able to have, if you just sit back and you're just envisioning things and you're just going to, what you think about, you bring about. And, if you're big on the secret and, that philosophy, like cool, but it still takes work, right? Like I use gardens as analogies a lot. And it'd be like sitting here envisioning like, I have a garden outside here and it's like, okay, there's no weeds. And oh crap, there's still weeds there. It's like, no, it still takes some freaking work to go pull the weeds and to work the garden. So while vision is so important in anything that you do, and this is how I believe, God created the earth, and he created it by speaking it into existence. Number one. Right? He said, let there be light. And he cast vision for what we see as earth, as the existence, as the universe that we live in. And it started with vision, but so many people think vision is sight, right? So many people think like what I see is my vision. No. Because vision, God didn't see anything at that point in time. What he had was a clear mental picture of what this existence was going to look like. And he spoke it then into existence. So if you got a business idea, if you have a relationship idea, okay, no matter what it is, there's a God-given template that we can follow, that we coach on, and it's the 7 days of creation. And the very, very first thing that you always have to start with is vision. Like, what is it that you truly want to do? Okay, what is it that and this can be anything that you want because it's your vision. It ain't my vision. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I want to feed the homeless. I don't care. Do whatever you want. If you want a G6, you want a jet, you want a Lambo, I don't care, whatever your vision is, but get clear on it, because it has to be clear. Because if there's like any area that we're not necessarily clear on, it's going to prevent us from moving on this template of again, what we coach on is the 7 day of creation template. So it's let there be light was the vision that we have. So what's the vision for my life? What's the vision for my business? The vision for my family? How am I going to parent? How can I be the best father? What vision do I have? And then the next day is God separated the heavens from the earth. It says he created, the technical word would be the firmament, right? And really that's the atmosphere. Okay, what we know as the atmosphere. So the culture, the environment. So who are you surrounding yourself with, right? That's so freaking important, because if your vision's clear and then you put yourself, and this is good, takes me back to the age of 15. Again, I didn't know that I was doing this, but it makes sense now that I had a vision for my life, and then I had to surround myself with the right people, the right mindseted people that had a similar vision. Like we're on mission together to fulfill the purpose that we have for our life. And then we can move on to day 3s and day 4 and day 5. But those are the two most important days for us to get crystal clear on, is our vision and our environment of who we're surrounding ourselves with. And that could be, what type of podcast are you listening to? Right? Mm-hmm. Are you listening to the modern gentleman? Like, are you absorbing good content? Are you feeding yourself the proper nutrition, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, that's going to allow you to put the proper systems in place to fulfill the vision for your life?
Cool. So that's why it's said that you have the power of life and death in your mouth, because like literally God spoke everything that you see into existence by saying, let there be light. That's the first thing that he said, right? He started with vision by speaking things into existence. So that's why you have the power of life and death in your mouth. Because you start by envisioning it and then speaking it, right? Cool.
Got it.
Man, so I told you about my story right now, and like the people who listen to my podcast, they've heard this before and inside of the podcast. So this event that happened with my daughter, there's a lot more than just like the pills and the abortion and all that. There's a lot more to it, man. And I felt like during those couple of months, I felt like God was giving me, like, man, I was high during when my daughter was born. I was high, man. And there was this voice, man, this like, I can't explain it. It was like this beating down happening in my head, right? Of, like you can like the way that I can like paint it to you is like the good and the evil like fighting, right? And there was like, I didn't have control over my thoughts in my head. There was something going on in here, right, telling me how I sucked, how I was doing everything bad, right? Like if my mom was yelling at me, right? So I was experiencing something in my inside of my head, like if my mom was yelling at me and grounding me and just telling me how bad I was doing everything. And I just felt like God was giving me a big lesson, right? Sure. And like I'm called to like introduce, I can say, or involve, I can say, I don't know how to say it, God inside of what I'm doing, because I really believe that like he was, like I said, I didn't believe in God before what happened, man. Like I never grew up going to church. I never grew up reading the Bible or anything like that. But I really believe there's something that tells me that like it was a miracle. Everything was a miracle, and that I'm here to do something great. Like, not that there's anything special about it, but that there's something special with me. And like I just feel this urge. This is what I wanted to ask you. I just feel this urge, this calling to start involving God in what I do, but I just don't know how, and I don't know if I even have the guts to do it, man.
Well, why don't you think you have the guts to do it?
I don't know. I'm scared. Like, I don't know. Like I'm scared, man. I'm scared to talk about God. I don't know. I'm scared.
Because of what other people will think, or because of what you think?
Yeah, maybe because of what other people think, which I'm in that phase that I don't care about. So like that's not gonna be something that holds me back, right? If that is what's holding me back, pretty soon it's not going to be what keeps on holding me back. But I feel like I'm not prepared. I feel like,
yeah,
like, where do I start? Do I start reading the Bible? Do I start?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, right.
Here's the exciting thing, brother. God doesn't call the qualified. God qualifies the called. Okay, so if you feel that calling on your life, brother, you got to own that. And if you can set yourself on fire, people will run from miles around to see you burn, dude. But you gotta own that. You gotta know that. And if you stand for something, okay, stand for something. If it's God in your life, I would just encourage you to seek that, man. Seek it. If you're feeling that calling, know that first off, you are created in God's image. Okay, that's what the Word of God tells us, that as human beings, we are created in God's image. Okay, so there's greatness inside of every single one of this. There's greatness inside of you, Alex. There's greatness inside of me. There's greatness inside of your daughter that's been born. Okay, there's greatness. Now, there's seeds of greatness. And what's determines if that seed is actually going to take root is based upon what's around that seed. Okay, man. So if you think of back to the garden analogies, if I'm going to be planting seeds, and I'm going to throw them on rock, I'm going to throw it on asphalt or concrete, that seed's never going to take root. It doesn't prevent that there's greatness inside of that seed still. Mm-hmm. Okay, but the only determinant of if that seed is ever going to take root to produce the fruit, the God-given fruit in our life, is if that seed takes root. Okay, so back to the kind of that culture and the atmosphere is, what are you surrounding yourself with? Okay, if you feel that calling on your life, man, and you're like, I feel like I need to go all in on God, I don't even know what that looks like, man, then I would suggest get around people that are talking about God, right? Go check it out. Hop on, listen to some podcast, listen to the King's Council podcast, right? Cool. Reach out to some guys that want to do a Bible study. You might not know it. I mean, you don't have to know any of it, dude. All you have to do is just show up. And if you start to show up for those things, you're gonna just feel this calling, this pull, this tug on your life, and that's God pulling those heartstrings, bro. But it takes us. Okay, He's there. It says He stands at the door and knocks. Okay, and He wants us to open the door and invite Him into our lives. But it takes us to open that door. Okay. But if we give that baby just a little bit of a crack, that light, because God is light, will shine in that, and it'll dispel any darkness that was ever within our heart. But you got to open that door for him.
Cool. How did you start with on this journey of spreading, God's message and God's word, and in intertwining, well, not intertwining, but teaching men God's framework that he used to, like, literally to create everything, right? Like, during the 7 days. So how did you get started with that, man?
Yeah, great question, man. So when I was 17, I was going through a real tough time in my life. But I was partying a lot. I was, drinking before school in high school. And I realized I needed to get out of that environment. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is, again, just back to the people that I was surrounding myself with. If you look in your circle of your 5 closest friends and you aren't inspired, okay, if you're not like inspired by them, I would argue you're not in a circle, man, but you're in a cage. Okay. And 100%. I found myself in that cage. And so I literally moved 5 hours, the summer of my sophomore year. I moved 5 hours up to Minnesota to get in and around other people. This is where I'm at now, in the Minneapolis metro. And I started to go to this church, and I started to ask questions, and I started to just do a Bible study with a group of guys. And it just started to instill in me just this desire, this hunger for God. And it was an amazing, it was some of the most amazing times in my life, the most fruitful and impactful times in my life. But then, dude, life happened. And I slowly started to just let life happen at me. Okay. I was no longer intentional, and I was seeking how I could go make more money. What business could I build? I was getting bottle service in Vegas. I was doing what I wanted to do. And it wasn't anymore about what God wanted me to do, because I wasn't even asking the question. And through that, thank God, he still had his fingerprint on me. And ultimately, I made a lot of money. I lost a lot of money. I've had a lot of highs, a lot of lows, man. But through this process a few years ago, it hasn't been that long, man, since I've really been committed to God in the way that I once was. But it was because I was financially, from the outside looking in, my life looked good. It looked good. I've got a 12,000 square foot home here on a lake in Minnesota, place in Florida, place in Texas. Life's good, but my life sucked. It really did suck, bro. Like, I had this complete feeling of unfulfillment in my life, and I knew there was something more for me. So that goes back to money's not everything until you don't have enough of it. Okay. And once you get enough of it, then you start to be like, what? I can only buy so many things anymore. This isn't, I need more. What's more in my life? And that's when I was seeking somebody that had the fruit in their life, who was on fire. And I got myself around them, and that started to just reignite, re-spark that desire, that passion that I once had. And again, man, that's only been a few years ago since now.
That was amazing, man. So, man, how do you know what God wants for you? You were doing, because right now you said you were doing what you wanted, right? You were having fun and all of that. You were doing what you wanted, right? With this terrestrial desires and stuff, right? But how do you know what God wanted? So, for example, for me, doing this, the modern gentleman thing has been really, challenging. Has been really challenging, and I could have been doing other things, man, and made pretty good money doing that. But this is what for some reason, this is what I want. And this is what I'm doing. And no matter how challenging it has been, this is what I want. And it feels good. And do you think this is what God wants for me? Or how do you know what God wants for you?
Yeah, great question, brother. Well, at the end of the day, there are certain things that you have basic needs that you need to fulfill, right? We have, as much as we can't serve money, we got to make money serve us. But at the end of the day, you got to get money in order to give money. So there's still a form of get that you got to go get it. And it all comes back down to the disposition of your heart in the situation of, okay, God, what is it that I want? And the Bible tells us that God gives us the desires of our heart. Okay, so the desires that you have in your heart, man, if it is to build this modern gentleman, and it's like, I feel alive when I do this. I love this mission that I'm on.
Talking to you.
Yeah, bro. You're on track right now. But at the end of the day, you still got to make money. Okay, so as an entrepreneur, and this is where a lot of entrepreneurs or other coaches and I may disagree. And I love talking about this because so many people will tell you that you need to go follow your passion, right? Follow your passion. You'll never work a day in your life. The problem is so many people's passion doesn't make them money. Okay. And so as an entrepreneur, my suggestion is to follow opportunity and always bring your passion with you. Okay. So head on a swivel. Like, what are the opportunities that are out there right now that I can make money with? Morally and ethically, it needs to be sound. Okay. If we're going to go back to like, what does God want me to do? Know that morally and ethically, this needs to be sound of what you're doing. But then look for the opportunity. Okay. Because what's a need that you could fulfill that's out there? But the problem is people don't buy what they need. They buy what they want. So this comes then down to the opportunity of, okay, how can I create a marketing plan, or how can I put something that's a need? How can I bring it to the marketplace in a desirable fashion where people need or people want it, right? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. But you could put salt in its oats, and naturally it's going to want to drink. Okay, so this is the ideas that we coach on of like, what are the opportunities out there? No matter what it is, man. You said 8 companies that I've taken to 7, and a couple of them 8 figures within the very first year of every single one of those. I had zero passion for any of the products that I've ever sold. I've sold everything from insulation to homeowners, to walk-in bathtubs, to solar, to regenerative medicine products, insurance products. Dude, I don't give a rip about any of that stuff. My passion is right now, it's just like, it's my family. Okay. I have a 9-year-old daughter and my wife, Ash, like that, like my passion is what breaks God's heart. Like that's my passion. But I full well know that God's given me the ability to create wealth and to make money. So my desire is to do everything in excellence. And if I've been given that ability to make money, I'm going to be the best freaking steward of that money that I possibly can. But so I'm looking for opportunities. How can I make money? Knowing that those opportunities are going to allow me to do what I'm passionate about. Okay. So if you can figure out a way to make money with Modern Gentleman and have that passion be an income source, amazing. But that's not always the case. Okay. So this is where I would just encourage you, even if you're pursuing this, man, there's going to be opportunities that are going to come at your disposal. And from there, then you have to weigh the decision of, is this an opportunity that I want to pursue or not? Will it take time away from my passion, or would allow me to fulfill my passion? And those are going to be the decisions that you make on this journey, which, dude, at your young age, man, that's going to be exciting. The fun thing is that you got a lot of decisions, you got a lot of failures to make. Okay. But failures, it's not really truly failure if you're looking at it as just feedback. Okay. So you got a lot of feedback to get as you go on this entrepreneurial journey. And that's going to allow you to gain the respect and to gain the wisdom on how to continually coach people with your passion of the Modern Gentleman.
Cool, man. So for you with King's Counsel, right? And what you said about giving people, what they want, and then selling to people what they want, and then giving them what they need. This is not the exact words that you use, but it's basically the idea, right? Telling to people what they want, and then giving them what they need. So with King's Counsel, how do you position yourself, right? And knowing that people need like God in their life, people need to have a vision to start off with, people need to work on these 5 pillars: mentally, physically, what are they? Spiritually, right?
Mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and financial.
There, exactly, right? So they need all of those 5 pillars. How do you position yourself with King's Counsel to spread this message and let people know, I don't know, sell what they want and then give them what they need? Like, how do you position yourself?
That's good, man. Great question. Because at the end of the day, it all boils down to effectively asking questions. Okay. So anytime you're in a sales process, okay. And first off, we are all in sales. I don't care if you're a stay-at-home dad or a mom, or you're an IT person or a mailman, you're in sales. You're selling somebody something, right? I'm selling my wife every day why she shouldn't leave me. Okay. And if we can go and understand that with that mentality, it switches how we look at sales. Okay. So when I'm effectively asking questions, and I asked you even the question of like, what is it that you're concerned about going all in on God? What I'm doing is I'm extracting information, your words, your information. So I'm not just asking the question, but what I'm going to do then is repeat the words back to you and use your words. That's going to allow you. What I'm doing is creating an environment, number one, that you made the decision. Okay. Because if I sat here and told you, Alex, you need to operate in excellence in the 5 power pillars: mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and financial. You want to do it? You're going to go, no, dude, that sounds like a lot of work.
Too much work. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, no. But if I asked you questions like, dude, how's life going mentally and emotionally? Where do you feel? How do you feel you're doing right now?
Mentally and emotionally, I feel on fire, man.
Feeling on fire. Fantastic, man. That's great. So how about physically? How you feeling physically, man? You look fit.
Look at me, man.
Yeah. Looking tight, bro. That's good, man. How about like spiritually? Where are you at spiritually? I know you mentioned God, but where do you feel like you're at right now?
Spiritually, I feel connected to who I am. I feel like I have a pretty good idea of who I am, my purpose, and what I'm here for, and what I'm here to do. Right. I'm still lacking. I'm pretty connected to that voice inside of me that is guiding me. I call it my inner guidance system. Right. That what tells me what's good or what's wrong. Or when I go to the movies and I'm like about to eat all the box of popcorn, and something inside of my head tells me, no, you shouldn't do that. You worked really hard all week. Calm down, right? So I've gotten really good at listening to that voice that is guiding me. So I feel that is one of the reasons of why I am where I am at right now. So I feel really good. I just lack that really intimate connection with God, man. So spiritually, I'm doing good, but I could be doing greater and better.
Yeah, man, I hear you. So you're doing good, but spiritually, you think you could be doing better. So if we were to, within our coaching program, and what we do is we focus on surrounding yourself with other like-minded people that are kind of in that same position where you're feeling good about life, but there's that next level. Like if you could just dial in, have that one road connection with God from a spiritual standpoint, where you're not just like operating life where it's like, I feel like I have that intuition or that gut feeling on things, but it's actually the moment where without a doubt what you're supposed to do in situations, based upon the core values that you've created. So we help people unlock that spiritually, that component in their life. And that's ultimately what being a part of the King's Council is like, man. Would you want to be a part of that?
Yeah. And cool, man. See, so you didn't even act as a car salesman. You just asked me questions, and then, you were like, you told me what you do. And then what you do fulfilled my need.
Exactly. So, yeah. And the key component with that is so many people ask questions with the intent to respond. And the trick is to ask questions with the intent to listen and truly hear. I'm listening to the words that you're saying, because if I can repeat even one or two of the words that you just said, you and I are in rapport. Okay. And now we have a connection, even if it's on video screen here, we are connected, and that's going to allow us to go from just rapport. Okay. Now there's that, me, you like me, but can you trust me? And when I speak the same words back to you, and I'm speaking to the benefits of the benefits, versus I didn't just come in and say, hey, with our coaching program, you get 2 group coaching calls. You get a one-on-one coaching call. You get access to our business mastermind once a month. Nobody cares about that, right? They want to know what it's going to do for them. What's the transformation that they're going to get once they join the coaching program? So if you speak to the benefits of the benefits using their language, their words, they're going to feel a connection, and naturally they're going to go, Alex just gets me. Yeah, I want to join this program. Does that make sense, man?
Yeah, it definitely does, man. Thank you. One last thing, man. How come mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and financial? How come the financial aspect of like life, right? And the five pillars that you you help men with. How come financial is all the way to the end? Is there any specific?
You said it at the end. I don't give a rip what order those things are in. It could be in different orders for people's lives. But at the end of the day, if you're not operating in excellence in every one of those areas, we're going to be struggling. Okay. Think of it. We do events called Become the CEO of Your Life. And the reason we call these events Become the CEO of Your Life, because we got to operate our life like we run a business. And if you can think of these 5 power pillars as the 5 different divisions of your life, like you have a division in your company. Let's say a Fortune 100 company has a marketing division. They have a sales division. They have an HR. They have fulfillment, whatever it is. And so let me ask you, man, if my company, my $1 million company, is we're doing okay, but all of a sudden our marketing is starting to struggle. Who struggles in the company? One division struggles. Who totally struggles in the company?
Every division.
Everybody, right? If marketing isn't bringing in leads, sales ain't going to bring in revenue. That's going to prevent that. HR is now going to have to lay off people, right? So if our mental component of our life is struggling, emotionally we're struggling. Okay, we're not sleeping well. We're gaining weight, right? We're not headstrong to emotionally respond to situations. Spiritually, we're struggling. Whereas if we can operate and hold each other accountable to being the best versions of ourselves, right? And that's all it is. It's not like you're running 100 miles an hour at all different times, but it's the best version of yourself. Now we can get into a rhythm of life, right? It's not this routine of I've got to do A, B, C, D, E. It's a rhythm of life by operating in excellence. So I can mentally be sound for my family, emotionally be sound to make the proper decisions, financially crush the game, knowing I'm providing the best quality of life. I'm acting in a generous manner, and physically I'm fit, I'm healthy, I'm sleeping well. That's going to affect every other area, and then obviously spiritually as well. It's going to affect every area of our life. So one's not more important than the other. They're all, it's a harmony that we work with. I don't believe in a work-life balance. I believe it's a harmony that we have to have, that rhythm of life in order to operate in excellence in every area of life.
That was I don't think there was a better way to end this conversation than to talk about those 5 key pillars, those 5 key power pillars of life, man. So awesome. So man, I bet that a lot of the married entrepreneurs with kids who come to listen to this podcast to get the tool sets, the skill sets, the mindsets, and everything that they need to be able to have it all in their life and achieve true freedom. I bet that all of those men pretty liked everything they had to say and probably are going to want to hear more about you and learn more about what you do with the King's Council, about become the CEO of your life and all of that. So where can someone learn more about you? Where can someone know more about your event? See, and then tell us about what you got going on Mondays, man. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, brother. Absolutely. So certainly we're probably the most active on Instagram. It's the Rylee Meek on Instagram. But I did mention the 7-day template. What I did, man, is I put together kind of a cheat sheet. If anybody would like to know more about that and how to create, we serve a God of structure and order. And I can promise you, if you follow this template, it's going to work every freaking time. If you want an amazing relationship, follow this template. If you want to crush your business, follow this template. If you want a great relationship with your kids, you want to parent well, follow this template. It works every freaking time since the beginning of us, since creation. Okay. This is the creation template, and it's the 7-day template. So if they were just to text me, Alex, 727-472-3860. Just text the number 7. You can just the number 7 or write out SEVEN. Doesn't really matter. But what we'll do is we'll make sure that you get that template that'll be directly sent back to you to download that template. And then you can start to walk out the God-given calling on your life. And so that would be the best way for them to get in touch with us. And then from there, we can communicate on all our upcoming events and phone calls and different things like that we have going on as well.
Cool. Awesome, man. So that is the best way to get a hold of you. I just wrote the name because I'm about to text you 7, man.
Cool, man.
Cool. Man, well, our time is over, man. It was a pleasure having you. I'm really excited for what's to come for you, for me, and for both of us. So thank you very much for being here, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Alex. It's been my pleasure.
All right, man. See you
Bye.
later. Thank you for watching the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms